about, strangely enough, a story that Miriam says not nice things about Moshe. She says things that, now the things that she said were really not nice. And there's the famous book which is called Chafetz Chaim, that the rabbi who wrote the Mishnah Brura, so he wrote a book called Chafetz Chaim, which is talking about Lashon Hora. I'm not saying Lashon Hora, and he brings a big thing about from this. The Gemara also brings that what you can learn from the story about Miriam. So it says like this. Let's just read quickly. I'll say it in English. What was the last week? What was the end of last week? Here it goes. Miriam and Aaron spoke about Moshe because of the black woman that he took. Because he took a black woman. It says, what does it mean she was black? It was just a way of saying that she was very beautiful. I mean, you can say black is beautiful, but she was not. In fact, her skin was not black. And then she was, in other words, they say that the same, just as a black person is black, you can see it obviously that they're black, is also her beauty was something very beautiful. But it ended up that his wife, what were they saying? That he separated from his wife. They said, God didn't just speak to Moshe, he spoke with us also. Right? So why is Moshe separating from his wife and he's something so special? And so it says Moshe was the most humble person in the world, and it ends up that finally God gets very angry at them, and Miriam breaks out in tzoras. It's translated as leprosy for lack of a better translation. And she has to be there for 7 days because she spoke bad language about Moshe. She didn't really say anything that bad about him. I mean, she didn't say anything, harmful or that was dangerous, and she just said something that was basically true. But nevertheless, it was not positive talking, and she got this terrible punishment. Okay, now from that, we come to this week's portion about a whole group of people that also spoke what we call bad language, lashon hara. Okay, if you can read this, it's very good. It's a little bit too small for me to read. Let's see, maybe I can. All right, that's good. All right, good. The nice translations. Here we go. Ready? So it says Shelach Lecha Anashim, but we're doing it in the Hebrew because I want you young men to learn how to read Hebrew, at least to be familiar with the Hebrew, or at least not to be afraid of the Hebrew or intimidated by the Hebrew, because the main thing is to learn Hebrew. Not always will you have English, and not only always are the English translations understandable. Sometimes they use words in English that are more obtruse. That's a good word. Obtruse. It's a fulfilling word that are more not understandable than the Hebrew. A lot of times you have some people feel an obligation when they translate from Hebrew into English that they must use the biggest word they could possibly use to show, that they who they really are. So it's nice to use simple words, and a lot of times they don't. Here it seems that here we have an example. Why is the section dealing with the spies juxtaposed with a section dealing? What does juxtapose mean? Anybody know what juxtapose is? I just say, why does it come after? Okay, it's not our point to criticize the translators. Here we go. But we're doing it in Hebrew. Shelach lecha anashim. Send people. Lecha. What does God say? God says to Moshe, send for you, to you, people. What do you mean send to you? What is this? Send for you. What does it mean send for you? What's this? It should just say, send people. Shelach. What is the Jewish people? They wanted to have a little bit of an idea what they were getting themselves into, to go into the land of Israel. And they wanted to know exactly what the best way to go in, to have a little bit of a knowledge. You take a trip to China, you take a trip to somewhere, you buy a little booklet that says, understanding China, trip to see the sights. So they wanted to have an idea. There was no booklet. They didn't have any travel guide. So they sent in 12 men to look around the place. This was for the people. Why did God say, Shelach Lacha Anashim? Send for you people. V'yaturu et Eretz Canaan. And they should scout out. They should, what do they call it? There's a word for it in English, not to supervise, to excavate. There's a better word for it. Anyway, Yasuru et Eretz Canaan. And they should case out the land of Israel. That wasn't called Israel. It's called Eretz Canaan. Asher anino sein livnei Israel, that I'm giving, that I gave to the Jewish people, and I'm giving to the Jewish people. No sin, not natan, no sin, that I give to the Jewish people. God is saying to Moshe, send out a bunch of scouts so they can see what's going on in the land of Israel. Ish echad lamateh. One person for every tribe. Lamateh avosav tishlachu. For the tribes of their fathers, you should send. In other words, Zavulun, Yehuda, etc. Call Nasibahem. Each one should send a prince of the families. In other words, we're not sending out here people who are active or good soldiers or good spies. They're sending the heads of the tribes. Heads of the tribes are going to go for this journey. It's going to be a 40-day journey, and they're going to uncharted land. Shelach Anashim, let's look at Rashi. Lama nisvacha parsha meraglim. Why is this whole story about the spies right next to the parsha of Miriam? Right? That's where we started the class. We have the story of Miriam, and immediately afterwards comes the story of the spies. Why? Why? Lefisha lakta, because Miriam was smitten. She was diseased because she said diba, she said bad speech, negative speech, that she spoke against Moshe, her brother. And these evil people that Moshe was sending in, they saw musar, and they did not take a lesson. Okay, so that's why it's put over here, right next to the story of Miriam. Even though the fact is that it did happen right after the story of Miriam. It happened right after that, right? Very soon after. Listen, when did this whole story happen? When did it happen? The Jews received the Torah, right, on Vav Sivan. They received the Torah, and then they camped out there and they stayed there, it says, for almost a full year afterwards. We just learned in last week's Parsha. On the 20th day of Iyar, the next year after, the Jewish people started to move because they received. What do you mean they received the Torah? At Vav Sivan, they got the 10 Commandments, and 40 days later, Moshe broke them. And 40 days later, after that, Moshe got forgiven. And 40 days more, in other words, 120 days after that, on Yom Kippur, they received the tablets. So obviously, they couldn't have. They had to wait there until at least Yom Kippur. And then the tabernacle was built in the same place. They didn't move yet. The tabernacle was built. The tabernacle was built almost a year after they left Egypt. Almost a year. They left Egypt on the 15th of Nisan. And the next year, almost the next year, on the first day of Nisan, practically was the first year, if the beginning of the year is Tishrei. Then, in other words, 11 months and a half months later, they built the Mishkan. And then they sent out the Meraglim. When did they send the Meraglim? On the first day of Tammuz. Because the Meraglim came back on the 10th day, the 9th day of Av. So in other words, shortly after they started to move, the first journey that they took was like a year and a month after they left Egypt. That's when they made the first journey from Mount Sinai. About a year and a month afterwards, a little bit more than a month. And then shortly thereafter, let's say how long after? A month and a half or something, a month and a few days, that's when they sent out the spies. And that's where this story is happening. Shelach Anashim, send your people and let them spy out the land of Israel. Why does he say Shelach Lacha? Let's look at Rashi here. Somehow all this page has got stuff together. Oh, Shelach Lacha. God says to Moshe, this is your call, Moshe. You're calling it. Ani eini mitzav, I'm not commanding you. Im tirtzeh, if you want to, send. It's up to you. In other words, this is of your own volition. Moshe, you make the decision. Lefi shaba'u, because they came, Yisrael va'omru. The Jews came to Moshe and they said, Nishlach anashim lefanenu. Let's send some people in to scout out the land. Kamoshe ne'amar, like it says, v'tikravuna like hochem. It says later on that all of you came to me. O Moshe nimlach b'shchina. And Moshe now was taking advice with God. Should I do it or not? Omer said, Ani amarti lehem shi tova. Shine'amar, I told the Jewish people that the land of Israel was good. Like it says, Eletchem me'oni Mitzrayim. I'm going to take you out from the poverty of Egypt to the richness of the Holy Land. Chayeyem shani noten lehem makom letot. If so, I'm going to give them also a place to make a mistake. B'divra meraglim laman Yerushua, so that they won't inherit it. God said, I gave them the land of Israel. They should have gone in immediately. Now you want to take you want to take it on your own? Okay, take it on your own. Send it up. Now, you should know that in a way, this is what really sort of brought the demise of Moshe. Even though Moshe didn't go into the land of Israel because of this. They wandered around the desert. If they would have gone immediately, it could have been that Moshe would have gone in with them. Even though according to some opinions, it was already decreed on Moshe, and God was just waiting for the time to do it. But it was also decreed on the Jewish people that they wouldn't go. God was just waiting for the right time. And here it is. The Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, explains, what does it mean, Shelach Lacha, sent to you? Why did God do this? Why did God do it? Why did God allow Moshe to make a mistake? God should have just told Moshe, don't send them in. There's going to be trouble. I want the Jewish people to go into the land of Israel. So the Rebbe explains why, because going into the land of Israel is going to start a whole new era in humanity in general and in Judaism especially. What's this whole era? That God wants to dwell in the lowest place possible. God made the world, and for whatever reason it is, that's the reason God made the world, because God wants to be revealed in the lowest place possible. What is the lowest place possible? Jewish free choice. The free choice of a Jew. That's the lowest thing there can possibly be. Potentially it's the highest also, but potentially it's the lowest. There was a Jew from his own free will can choose. If Jews didn't have the ability to choose, so then it would be no big novelty. We didn't need to do the commandments and things like this. The whole idea of doing the commandments or not doing the sins is that a person uses his free will, his choice. He chooses to serve the creator of the universe. Free choice. So in a way, that people do sins is, you can call it in a way a good thing. Why is it a good thing? Because they're using their free will. Either using it for bad, they're using it for exactly what God does not want it to use it for. Okay, that's right, but it's their shot. So by means of God doing this, by means of God telling Moshe, do it yourself, make your own choice. So God wanted to bring into the world for the first time this idea of using your free choice to serve God. And Moshe did. It came out bad. But the Moshe didn't do the wrong thing. Moshe did the right thing. He did what God wanted. He sent them in. The Meraglim, the spies, they did the wrong thing. They looked at the world and they decided that the world is the boss, not God. The world is too intimidating. It's too frightening. It's too strong. It's too disturbing. We can't conquer the world. That's what they did. They saw with their own eyes. They saw them, but they weren't supposed to judge with their own eyes. They were supposed to judge with their values, with their principles, and that was what they saw with their eyes was not supposed to influence them. What they saw was their eyes in order that they would influence it. True, Eretz, the land of Israel, was a very scary place. It's true, but it was their job not to be scared and to put godliness into this free choice. You see, you have to fight against the 30 people that are, all of them are 30 feet high, right? And you've got a sword and they have swords. I mean, the natural reaction is to run away. Who wants to put yourself into a fight like that? But the Jews weren't supposed to be natural. They weren't supposed to be normal. They were supposed to be God's people to make the whole world above normal. Okay, let's go a little further. Gimel. Who did Moshe Rabbeinu send? Vayishlach osam Moshe. Moshe sent them in Midbar Paran. Al Pi Hashem. He sent them from Midbar Paran on the order of God. What does it mean on the order of God? Let's look at Rashi. Virishuto, with God's permission. Shelo ikev al yodo. He didn't stop him. God did not stop Moshe from sending. Back to the sentence. Kulam anashim roshe b'nei Israel hema. All of them are important people. The heads of the Jews they were. Rashi, kulam anashim, call anashim. Anytime it says the word anashim in the Torah, lashon chashivut, it means they are important. For oto shah kasherimu, because at that time all of them were holy, just, righteous people. When they got into the land of Israel and they started seeing what they saw, is all of a sudden their mind became a little bit confused, and that's when they decided to go against God. Who are these people? And it gives a big list of who they are. Right? It goes a big list of who they are. These are named Matei Sachar, Yigal ben Yosef, and etc., etc. So it says, let's go a little bit further over here. Oh, let's go to the last sentence. I'm sorry. Yud Zayin. Sentence Yud Zayin. Are you with me? Yud Zayin? Yes? Okay, you with me? Anyone's there? Hello?
Hello.
Okay, good. Here we go. Sentence Yud Zayin. Paragraph, chapter Yud Gimel. Sentence Yud Zayin. Moshe is just sending in the spies. Vayishlach osam Moshe l'Torah Eretz Canaan. Moshe sent them to, what's the word? The word is not excavate. What's the word? There's a good word for it, and I just keep slipping my mind. When you go to how do you say? To investigate.
Scout.
What? No, it's a scout, but there's a word that's something like, not like excavate, it's a word.
Reconnoiter?
Okay, I guess that's a word. There's a better word, and maybe there is no word. Okay. Anyway, he sends them all to look over, to case out the land of Israel, Canaan.
Survey.
What?
Survey.
Survey, okay. He sent them all to survey the land of Israel. That was called Canaan then. And he said to them, go into the desert, go into the mountains, see the land, what it is. The people that are there. Are they strong? Are they weak? Are they few? Are they many? So first of all, Moshe tells them, go and see if the people are strong or not. And are they many? And you'll see that when the spies come back, they reverse the order. Moshe says, tell me how the people are. And then after that, next sentence, how is the land? If it is good land, if it's bad. What about the cities that they're sitting in? Are they open, or have they got walls around them? So if the cities have walls, it's a sign that people are weak. Is the land of Israel fat, or is it lean? Are there trees or not? He says the trees mean are the righteous people. Be strong, take from the fruits of the land. And these days were the days of the beginning of the ripening of grapes. Okay, what happens? Moshe says, go into the land, see how the people are. Are the people strong, or are they weak? And then see how the fruits are. When the spies come back, they reverse the order. They say the fruits are great and the people are terrible. So the Rebbe says, if you look at what the spies said when they came back, which that's what we'll do tomorrow, you see that the spies only told the truth. The spies told the truth. They said the fruits are great, the people are very strong, awesome, right? And then afterwards, they threw in their opinions. They can't go in. If you look and see what happens, we'll learn this tomorrow. The spies came back and they said, the land is great. Look at these fruits. And the people are very awesome. All of a sudden, Kalev steps in. Yehoshua says, don't listen to them. The land is very good. They didn't even say anything. They said the truth. They said the truth. All of a sudden, then they continue. They say, no, we can't go into the land. So the Rebbe says they were very clever. The spies were very clever. What did Moshe say? Moshe said, go in to see the land, how the people are. Are they strong? And then see the fruits. What's the point? The spies were supposed to come back and say, the people are very strong. The people in the land, the inhabitants are very strong. The Jews would say, what do we care if they're strong? God is stronger. We're not thinking about ourselves. We're thinking about what God wants to go in. We're going to take the land. And then the fruits are good. Okay, the fruits are good. But what did the spies do? The spies got the Jews thinking about themselves. Look at these fruits. Aren't these wonderful? Ooh, everybody started thinking, wow, this is worthwhile to go into the land of Israel. Look at these beautiful fruits they got over there. Fantastic. We're going to go in, think the land must be very warm. They said, yeah, but the people are big giants. Now all of a sudden, the whole paradigm has changed. The Jewish people are now thinking about themselves. I want the fruits. I'm going to get the land. Then suddenly they say, but the people are very scary. They're big giants. People say, wow, to fight with such big giants just for a few fruits, who needs it? Right? If you would have started out talking about the giants, they would have thought about what God says. God tells me that I have to go in. God's stronger than these giants. But they got the people to think about themselves first. As soon as they started centering around themselves, then all of a sudden they got scared. Big lesson to ourselves. If you want to cast away all fear, then you have to think about the Creator and not about yourself. Think about what you have to do, what you're supposed to do, and how you're supposed to change the world, and then the world won't change you. Okay.